What is going on, everybody? My name is Jay, this is Unplayable, and today I have Inventors at the South Tigris from Shim Phillips, S.J. McDonald, and Garfield Games. Now, if you like Garfield Games, well, you're in luck, because this is more Garfield Games, exactly what you would expect. So, I wasn't huge on the previous two games in the South Tigris series, whereas all of the West Kingdom series I own, and I love all of those games. Wayfarers and Inventors, or Wayfarers and Scholars, I was not huge on. So, will Inventors break the mold for me? I don't know. We will find out. But if you need to know how to play, I'm not going to be doing a game overview. Go watch another how to play video. I know Stella did one. You can go check that out. This is going to be just a review. So stay tuned. Let's see what I think. All right, let's chat about Inventors of the South Tigris. So let's start with the theme. The theme is we are all inventors trying to invent kind of contraptions, build those contraptions, and then publish those contraptions to score points. We are also using our craftsmen, paying craftsmen and using craftsmen. They will get better at what they do as you use them. And as they get better, they're gonna go up this tower. Thematically, I don't know what exactly the tower is supposed to indicate, but you're going up a tower, and the craftsmen, as they level up, they go up and they get better at what they do. You're building workshops, which is kind of engine building. You're going to be using your dice, whether they're inspired, you're inspired to actually create, you are determined or ready or exhausted. And then there's the guilds, which are like kind of the factions that you are vying for area control. And then you're moving your boat along this research track, getting workshops, and then also conducting research. You're also testing these contraptions, whether it's your own or publishing somebody else's, or building somebody else's invention, or testing somebody else's invention. Is very much that kind of scientific theme, which is really cool. I think that's actually unique, and I enjoy this theme as a whole. All right, now production. The production is wonderful. It's everything you would expect from a Garfield Games production. I do have the metal coins, which are awesome. The dice are small, but they're exactly what you would use in all the other South Tigris games. The boards are great. The player boards are huge, but they're nice. The boards for the towers are great. All the chits and pieces, solid. They're great. The one exception is the card quality is kind of dog water. The cards, the way they were cut, they already come kind of like white damage from the sides. And then the quality of the cards is not great. It's linen finish, which is nice, but like the card stock is kind of not where you want it to be. But the artwork is awesome from the Micho. Obviously, he does great stuff. So A+ for the components, with the exception of the cards. There's also no insert. I guess in this one, there was just so much stuff you're trying to pack in there. They just were like, well, we're not doing an insert. You can just fit it all in the box, barely. Now let's get to the gameplay. First part of the gameplay, and this kind of is a cross with production, is the iconography. So if you've played Wayfarers or Scholars, the iconography was a little bit iffy in those games, especially Scholars. The iconography in Scholars was kind of bad in my opinion. The iconography here works. I had no questions. I mean, every now and then you might see a symbol and you're like, I wonder what that means, but it's gonna be like on a special ability tile, so it's not popping up all the time. All of the basic generic iconography in this game really works. You can tell exactly what it means. Once you've played it once, you know what everything is. I think the iconography here is the best in the series by a long shot. So there is a lot going on in this game. This game has so many different moving pieces. You have these big player boards, you have tons of places you can place dice, you can place your workers, you're trying to get influence, you're moving a ship, you're placing these invention cards, inventing them, and then you're placing these tiles on them, and then when you gotta know what you're paying in order to build it and what you're getting as a reward, and then flipping the tile, and then now you gotta know what you're paying and getting as a reward to publish the tile. That's not to say the game is difficult to understand, because I think this is probably the most easy to understand game in the series between Wayfarers and Scholars. This one is the easiest to get into. This is the easiest one for me to teach, easiest one for me to get into. That's because everything just like makes sense in my opinion. There's nothing you're like, the rules for this are complicated and don't really make sense. No, it's like you're paying your craftsmen, you pay them what it says on their tile, you move them up. When you've moved all the dudes off the bottom one, you're gonna flip that tile, and it's like a platformer where you're going up. When you invent something, you put it on the invention. Now you've invented, oh, and this is something I should have said in the theming, but I love the idea that you're combining like an adjective with something. So it's now a tipping chair, or a horsepower chair, or a trick chair, or a trick bookshelf, or a wind-powered bookshelf. All these kinds of adjectives that you can compare with something you're actually making and inventing. So I love the theme of that. It feels just very straightforward and no convolution. There's no extra unnecessary bits like I feel like there was in Scholars that kind of convolute and confuse how the game plays. A+ from that perspective, in my opinion. Now, it might be straightforward, but like I said before that, there is a lot going on, so you can have some serious AP with this game. There are so many options and various ways that you can do things. There's free actions that let you discard cards to ready things or increase the die values. The die values can change based on when you where they are, if they're determined or enlightened. When you move colored dice all the way up to enlightened, you get influence, which you can use for the worker placement actions. You can discard 2 cards to enlighten one of your dice, or ready a worker or crafts person. You only have so many camel actions to be able to actually invent or build or publish or test. You can test other people's things, you can build other people's things, you can publish other people's things. There's a lot going on. Like, it's not just because it's straightforward doesn't mean there's not a lot of decision space, because there is a ton of decision space in this game, which can lead to analysis paralysis, especially in your first round. In your first round is kind of a setup round where you're like, okay, I want to get these moving pieces going, and if you're able to kind of start your engine, whether it's with workshops or getting craftspeople from the bottom to the top so that you get that 1 extra income during at the end of the round for your royalties, or income and stuff like that. So there is a lot of decision space here, which I think is great, which analysis paralysis can sometimes be a bad thing. And this is not a short game. This is going to be a 2-hour game minimum, in my opinion, even at 2 players. If you're playing with more, it could be longer, but there's a lot of crunch to it that feels good. It's not crunchy for the sake of being crunchy. It's crunchy because you kind of want to plan how you're inventing these things and how you're going to score these different objectives at the bottom of the inventions. And on the point of it being a long game, there is a short version of the game, which I don't recommend playing. I think the game feels way fuller when you play the entire game as a standard game as it's meant to be played. Now, I do really like the objective cards that you get in a short player game that kind of gives you more resources because you're skipping around essentially. I wish you could use these in the regular game, but while these things are cool, I don't think you should play the short version. The short version is not worth it. There is a 2-player bot, which I think does help with things when you're playing at 2 players, because there is a little bit of area control. There is a little bit of interaction with building or publishing other people's things, and based on whether you built it or published it, or if you did both, you score differently. So I think for 2 players, that bit is a little bit more underwhelming than I think it would be at 3 or 4 players, because the bot doesn't interact with that at all. The bot literally just covers spaces and then moves the boat for tying for the different factions, the guilds. I kind of wish that the bot would actually contribute a little bit more to inventing, building, and publishing, because I think that would be a lot more interesting, or at least getting them invented more often. Tent actions. Tent actions I think are super interesting, because once you've done your tent action for the round, you're done. But you get a bonus for every worker you didn't place and every camel action you didn't take, in addition to as however long it takes your opponents to continue playing the round, especially in a 2-player game, you get to take one of these free actions. So they might not be super impactful, but they kind of do give you some kind of engine you can do since you passed out of the round earlier than your opponents, and gives you a little bit of a benefit, which is kind of neat, especially since you can do something like a workshop action. So you could save dice with the intention of going here knowing your opponent's going to keep going, so you get to go there first and you get to still do your workshop action. On top of that, deciding when to go here before your opponent is super interesting. One, because the earlier you go, you get to choose which of these abilities you want, but also you get to get the bonuses if there are any. And in a 2-player game, you place a tent for the bot, so you can block your opponent from getting something. And that's important because these first 3 spots give you influence at the end of the game in the guilds for the area control scoring. And I think being able to block your opponent, especially in the last round or 2, from placing there so that you can guarantee you get the area control bonus is really interesting. I love the income track. The income track works really well. I love the progression of going up it, getting bonuses, but then also getting better royalties. I said income track is royalties, the royalty track, and getting better royalties as the game goes on. In addition to how I really love the platformer nature of this tower. And as you go up, you get better rewards for your income phase, and you get one-time bonuses as you clear them out and move them up. You get victory points at the end of the game. Now, it does cost more to use your craftsman as you go up on the track, but something about this progression system just feels refined. There are so many different paths to victory here. You can really focus on moving the boat, getting these workshops, building your workshop engine, researching these tiles so that you get the benefits of them, whether it's the ongoing benefit, 10 action benefit, immediate benefit. You're also scoring points if you can be the first one to do research on these tracks. So you can really go hard on this boat track to try and get workshops, that engine, and points. You can go hard on inventing, building, and publishing your own thing, because if you build it and publish it, you get to score twice for its scoring condition, so you can get up to like 8 points for that. You can really interact and try to build other people's inventions or publish other people's inventions and get points through that. You don't even have to publish something in order to score for it once. So you can build something, get it in this track, and guarantee that you're gonna at least score that thing once and leave it there for someone else to publish if you don't want to publish it. I think that's really interesting as well. I love that the 10 actions are variable from game to game. And I think one of the coolest things about the game is the insane amount of variable scoring that you can get on these cards, because every card has a different scoring condition at the bottom. And each game, they change what inventions are built or published. So it changes kind of the things you're going for to score extra points. I really, really love that little addition to the game. The testing, you can test other people's things. Now, one thing you kind of have to grasp is the scoring that you're gonna get whenever you build something or publish something or do both. Because if you only build something, you get straight up 3 points. So if it's not tested, then publishing it doesn't benefit you because you're not getting points for it being tested, and you're giving the builder just straight up 3 points unless you start testing it after you've published it, or even before and then publish it. You can get the points for the inventions in-game scoring, but you're not going to get a ton of points for it being tested, published, built. So that's one little area that you kind of have to grasp the first time you play, so you can see how many points that each person is going to get based on whether they built it, invented it, or published it. I will say that the whole tile placing whenever you build it or invent it, and then flipping it when you build it, and then what you do when you publish it, is the first time you learn it, it's a little bit finicky, I would say. But once you understand it, it's really straightforward. It makes a lot of sense. And if you look at the top of the board, it kind of directs you exactly what you're doing. And that helps so much, in my opinion. This little board here that tells you how to do all of those actions. So I think I've covered it pretty well at this point. I'm going to give this game a 9 out of 10. I really, really like this one. I was not huge on Wayfarers or Scholars. Now, the West Kingdom series, all 3 of those games are at least a 9 out of 10 for me. This one is also a 9 out of 10, where the last 2 would be a decent amount lower for me. This one is by far the best in the series. I love the crunchiness of it. I love the theme of it, and just the mechanics just resonate with me. Everything about it, and it's not super convoluted. It just works. It flows well, it has a good cadence. Everything about it I like. So this is getting a 9 out of 10 for me. I hope you guys found this review helpful. If you did, please leave a comment, like, share this video. You know the drill. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.